hello, and welcome back to Rhetoric with Shakia. I'm Shakia, and in this video, we're gonna talk about Love Island USA Season 7, Episode 25. And I'm just gonna talk to you, not necessarily in order, but we're gonna talk about some of the things that happen in the episode. So let's start off because who knew we'd be talking about pancakes again? Who knew pancakes was going to be an issue in another episode? Because remember what happened with Jeremiah and Huda before with the pancakes, and his pancake wasn't done that he made for her, and then she went to go make pancakes, but who was it? I think it was Taylor who helped her, but she asked him to blah blah blah. Okay, but we have another pancakes and priorities situation happening in this episode. Essentially, Chris, who at this point is coupled up with Huda and also has interest in Shelly. Because remember, he was coupled up with Shelly when they were at Casa. But now they're back at the villa and he is in his couple with Huda. He comes up to their makeup room and he gives Shelly 2 pancakes and flour. He gives Huda 1 pancake and no flour. And you could see when he dropped off the food to them, she was like, oh, word? So she has a conversation and she's like, yeah, but she ends up having a conversation, of course, with the girls, but then with Chris. And she tells him, you gave her 2 pancakes and a flour, and me not. Me one pancake and no flowers. And it feels as if you are playing favorites. And Chris is like, what are you talking about? He's like, look, that wasn't my intention. I didn't mean for it to come across that way. Huda. She said she's sitting right next to Shelly. So when he brought it up, she, of course, can see it. Huda, if pancakes cause all these issues, baby girl, go make your own pancakes. Go make your own. And I guess I can understand because since all of them are being honest with each other, there's no secrets about who's exploring who. Huda wants to make sure that it's equal. But is it really equal, at least at this point in the episode? Because we know that Chris said Shelly is his number one. Yes, he's exploring Huda. Yes, he's in a couple with Huda. And yet Shelly is his number one. Now, that does change later in the episode. Toward the end, he and Huda have another conversation while they're in the speakeasy. She asked him if he had ever cheated. He said yes. And she's like, oh, really? He says, but not physically. It was only emotional cheating. And I guess she could tolerate that because her energy changed. I'm like, girl. I still do think there is something calming about Chris. There might be something he's holding back, and I am curious about what that is. But generally speaking, he seems to have this calming presence to him. And by the end of the episode, he said, look, he's removing himself from this whole Shelly and Ace thing, and he's gonna focus on his connection with Huda. And she's like, really? You chose me? And then they make out, of course, because it wouldn't be Love Island if they didn't make out. Next, let's talk about love triangle fatigue. This fake love triangle. It's fake because, and I'm talking about the love triangle between Taylor, Clark, and Olandria. I'm over it. Olandria, leave this man alone. Do not explore connections with him. Do not go past go. Why? What are we doing here? You're talking about she's not going to put all her eggs in one basket. He should never be an egg in your basket at this point. So, but anyway, Taylor, when he's talking to the guys at the beginning of the episode, and then when he talks to Clark, he says that he didn't kiss Olandria out of respect for Clark during the challenge, that heart rate challenge. But his heart rate tells a different story because his heart rate, she's the one who got his heart rate going the most. Okay, she's the one that spiked his heart rate. Clark is tired of this eventually. Clark seems over it, and she does ask him, do you plan on still exploring your connection with Olandria? And he was like, mm-hmm. But he also says that his connection with Olandria is different than his connection with Clark, and that he told Olandria that he never felt this way before. That Clark makes him feel different. He also said that with Clark, he can be giddy and laugh and all of that. And instead of feeling as if he had to be uptight or serious, sir, what I'm hearing is maybe there's some immaturity that you haven't gotten rid of, because you don't, and to be clear, I'm not saying maturity means you have to be serious all the time. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, because also if you watch the show, you kind of know how Taylor operates, you know what I mean? And so I just feel like you're choosing Clark because maybe you don't have to step up. Just a thought. Just a thought. Okay, let's talk about Ace versus Shelly. Are they being intentional? Was Shelly being intentional or not? So Ace is tight that Shelly kissed Chris. I don't care. He's trying to play it cool, but he feels some kind of way about it. And I think he feels some kind of way about it because Shelly feels some kind of way about what went down between he and Huda during this challenge. Man, this challenge, it inspired several conversations, okay? So Shelly swears it wasn't to prove a point, even though when she doubled back and went to Chris again, it wasn't to prove a point, even though at one point she does say, look, I went up and down this line, doing this challenge with these folks, and you still over there and y'all still doing y'all thing, talking about Ace and Huda. So she was like, okay, then I kiss Chris again. But she's like, but it's not intentional. Ace was not here for it. He wasn't buying it. And maybe there might be an emotional mismatch here. Maybe they're missing some communication cues from one another. This is, to me, we can still save this. Ace and Shelly, they just have some things to work out. And I think it's because Ace wants to close off with her, and because Shelly is still exploring things with Chris, which is another reason why Ace was upset that Shelly doubled back during the challenge, because he's like, nah, it becomes more than just a challenge if you're bringing outside stuff into the challenge. You're still connecting with this person, trying to see and build with this person, and I'm not supposed to feel no kind of way about it, but you feel some kind of way about what Huda and I did, even though it was just a challenge. He said, like, it's essentially he and Huda don't have interest in each other, or do they? But he and Huda apparently don't have any interest in each other. Again, I think that Ace wants to close off with Shelly. I don't like how he keeps bringing up, because I let the other girl go home. I saved you. I did this. I don't like that. Just say that you want to close things off so that you and Shelly can be locked in and there can be no exploring. But he didn't say that. He's not saying it directly. And he's upset with Shelly for still exploring, even though from the beginning of this show, Ace has mentioned that he's exploring everybody who comes in. And he gives chances. We saw that. And so Shelly is doing the same. If they want to lock in with each other, at this point, both of them need to be honest and say what it is. And if Shelly does not want to close off, if she doesn't want to lock in, then she needs to say that too. So I understand where Ace is coming from. Watching this episode, during my last video, I was probably a bit more on Shelly's side, but I do get where he's coming from. I do think he is being sincere. I think there's just still a level of emotional vulnerability that isn't quite there just yet. And maybe it's because he doesn't feel like he can, because they aren't closed off, which was another part of the conversation. Shelly was saying how she wants boundaries. And he said, look, I can't give you boundaries if we're not closed off. If you're out here exploring, I don't know what those boundaries are. And for me, I'm like, well, y'all could still have boundaries on what each of you deem as inappropriate for where you all are in your couple. It sounds like he is ready to close things off. So let's be direct about it and let's say that. Oh my God. And then Huda, she's kind of spiraling out during this episode. and she's asking people if she's well, she asked Olandria if she's a terrible person, and Olandria said, not a terrible person, no, but you took it too far. And so Huda throughout the episode is crying. She's telling people Shelly didn't want to talk with her. Shelly didn't say that during the previous episode. Shelly didn't say she didn't want to talk to her at all. She said she didn't want to talk to her that night. She said, look, I'm annoyed and I don't want to come at you and say something wrong. To me, that makes sense. And Huda is twisting things. And we saw her do that with Jeremiah too. Like we saw her do this in earlier episodes. So this is not new. So she's crying. And while she's trying to talk to Olandria, Olandria kept talking about her food. She was like, yeah, I'm waiting for my toasty. And then Huda said something else. And Olandria got up from where she was sitting and she was like, okay, I'm going to come back from my toasty. And let's be clear. Do I think Olandria was being a mean girl here? No, I don't. Here's why. It is not Olandria's job to solve people's problems or listen to them cry. She doesn't always have to be the shoulder for people to cry on all the time. She gets to have her limits and she gets to have her boundaries. And if she wasn't here for it and she didn't want to co-sign Huda's stuff, she doesn't have to. And that does not make her a mean girl. I want to see her have more boundaries with these folk. But anyway, so, okay, speaking of Olandria, let's talk about Nick. Let's talk about Nick and Ciara. They finally get their date outside of the villa. So they are outside, okay? They outside. They do a bike ride up this mountain. Beautiful scene. Then they have a picnic. And this is a date. So they're kissing and talking and all of the things. And it's cute. It still doesn't do what I thought it would do because eventually throughout this conversation, they end up closing off. Nick says, I want to formally ask you to close off. And she's like, I'm going to formally accept. And I guess it was a cute moment. But after I saw how he was in Soul Ties, I don't know. This just didn't, I was like, okay. But also it's because at this point, close off. He doesn't want her exploring with Elan or anybody else, and she doesn't want him kissing or exploring anybody else. So close off. So I think it's also because it just makes sense at this point for where they are to be closed off. So kudos to them. During the conversation, Ciara does ask, I love that she asked Nick, is he hurt, right, because of ego or, emotion? Is he hurt out of ego or because he really cares for her? Which I had that same question because what it looked like was ego. It also looked like he closed off with Ciara at this particular time because of ego. Because Elan was around and Elan was kind of shaking things up with them. So maybe this pushed him to want to close things off with Ciara because he really likes her and it's a genuine connection, or perhaps it is his ego. What do y'all think? Ego or genuine? I'm thinking he and Ciara are playing a good game. If I'm being honest, I'm thinking he and Ciara are playing a good game. I wonder how long they are going to be together if they make it to the end of this season. I wonder how long they'll be together outside of the villa. Now, if they do stay together, good. I love love. I am curious, though, how long they'd be together. I already spoke about Shelly wanting to set boundaries with Ace. And during this episode, when she was talking with Ciara, once Ciara got back from her date, Shelly was like, look, I'm good on everybody right now. I'm good on Ace. I'm, on Huda right now. I just need peace. That's right. Boundaries, girly. Boundaries. I love to see it. By the way, when Nick and Ciara got back from their date, they arrived right when Elan was talking to Brian about wanting to still connect with Ciara. Oh, because what I forgot to say was Elan and Nick had a conversation about the challenge because Nick was so pissed off. And Elan essentially said, look, before we got back here, while we were at Casa, Ciara said she was still interested in exploring me and you. And so then that's why for me, I'm like, this is interesting timing for Nick to close things off. Perhaps he is just playing a really great game. But I want to see genuine love connections. But anyway, so back at the villa, as Elan is talking to Brian about wanting to still see where things go with Ciara. Ciara and Nick, they come back home, and they're excited, and everybody's jumping around, and then they split off into groups, girls and guys, and they're recapping the date. Ciara told the girls that Nick said, we're like, let's do life together. I was like, did he say that? If he did say it, I didn't hear it. Because also, as they were talking, what did he say to her? Like, that something about gravity, he said to her during their date. It was so bizarre, the wording. And then she was like, so I'm your dream girl? And he was like, mm-hmm. And one of them said basically. I don't actually know who said basically, but it was just interesting, which is another reason why I didn't feel like, oh, or all, like super happy or like, oh my God, this is so cute with them. Something just feels off. And I can't quite put my finger on it just yet, but I will. Olandria is considering giving Zach K. Do we still have to say Zach K now that there's just one Zach left? Zach, another shot. And I'm here for it. I want her to. It seemed as if they were having good conversation at the villa. I'm sorry, at Casa. And they were coupled up. But Olandria seemed closed off this entire time. She said she was open and she was exploring, but really she seemed really closed off and just so into Taylor. So I want her to explore options. I really want her to explore options. Shelly and Ciara listed out a few people. One of which, so they listed 3 people: Zach, Austin, and one other person. And then Ciara says, no, Shelly says, oh, we're missing somebody else. We're missing a big factor here, Taylor. No. Do not mention Taylor. We want Olandria to stay far, far away from Taylor. Take his egg out of your basket. Because if she tries to make something work, explore something with Taylor, I am exiting out of Peacock forever. I can't do it. He don't deserve to be an egg in her basket. I'm not here for it at all. But kudos to Olandria for finally being open and exploring. I wish she would have done that week 1, because we're in week 5. But that's neither here nor there. At least she's doing it now. Andrina, she shoots her shot at Pepe and he shuts it down. Which I'm like, why, Pepe? Even though I know why, I assume I know why. Because Andrina is gorgeous. By the way, she says she's not really feeling her connection with Brian. Brian said that their conversations are boring. So both of them are wanting to explore. But Pepe said no, he wants to see where things go with Grayson. I think it's because Andrina, as gorgeous as she is not Pepe's type. He described what his type was in an earlier episode, and it seems to be a blonde, not Andrina. Which again is very unfortunate, but kudos to her for shooting her shot. Yes, girl, pull that man for a chat. Now go pull somebody else. So what else happened in this episode? Oh, we see Elan is playing Mr. Spy. Amaya and Chris are talking, chopping it up. Amaya is saying, look, I don't know what's going on with Zach. He hasn't really talked to anybody. He hasn't talked to me. I'm not sure what's going on. And Elan is there fixing the pillows and walking around the sofa and all the things. Then he goes back to Zach and he goes, yeah, I overheard. Sir, what do you mean you overheard? You stood there and you listened. You might as well took part in the conversation. So he tells Zach, and Zach is just cool with it. He's like, yeah, we'll see. Eventually in the episode, Elan talks to Amaya because he's also, I think, shooting his shot. They have a cute conversation. They're talking about family. Elan says that his sister lives in Belgium. And Amaya says, Germany? She asks, Germany? And he goes, Brussels, Belgium? She goes, like the waffle? Yes, girl, like the waffle. And so We'll see if something develops between these two. We also see Olandria does have a conversation with Zach. She pulls him for a chat. So I'm super proud of Olandria. Go girl, get it. And to me, the combo was good. And Zach, I find Zach to be attractive. I don't like his haircut, but I like his face, his tattoos, his muscles. I'm here for it. And they seem to have things in common. So I hope we get to see more of Olandria and Zach. Something that I want to mention, and I don't think I mentioned it in my last video, during another episode, and Olandria, I think she mentioned it again during this episode, which is that she put so much time and effort into her relationship with Taylor while on the show, right? While they were a couple. And now she's starting all over. And she's like, who thought your girl would be starting all over, exploring at this point in the game? But I'm like, you didn't do enough exploring in the beginning because you were still so stuck on Taylor. But my point in bringing this up is because I just want for Olandria and women in general to remember that regardless of how much effort and time you put into a situation, a job, a person, regardless of how much time you put in, you still get to start over. You deserve to start over if that person, job, thing, whatever it is not working for you. And this situation with her and Taylor, again, based off of what we see, because I know it's a show that has edits, is not working. This situation with Taylor is done. So even though you put in time and effort and energy, you still deserve to give yourself a chance to start over. There is power in starting over because now you get to really make choices for you. So I hope she does that. I hope she does that. Switching gears before we wrap, is there a little divide going on between the Casa folk and the Villa folk? I notice how they tend to cluster with each other. And I was like, oh, I wonder, I kind of like that though, because we're not forcing and faking relationships. It's just, it is what it is, which is how I wish it would have been in the beginning, where people could still be cool with each other and yet they can still participate in Love Island. The premise of the show, explore, couple up, win you some money, but create genuine connections. So there's a lot of stuff that seems to be happening now that I wish would have happened in earlier episodes. What do you think? Also, before we go, y'all, listen, Nick and Sierra. So now they're closed off. Do you think it's real, or is this just great strategy? I want to know. Drop your thoughts in the comments. All right, that is all for today's episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate you so much for being here. And until next time, bye for now.